last lesson of 6.1. Basically, we're going to focus on unit rates today. So you need to be able to tell me what in the world is a unit rate. And you also need to be able to figure out what that unit rate is, no matter how that information is presented to you. So let's get straight on to it. What is a unit rate? It's pretty simple. It's just a regular rate, but here's the only catch, gang. We know what a rate is. It's a ratio that has two different units. So see these three ratios that each of the ratios has different units. You know, the top number is different from the bottom number. Get it? Well, the only difference is that one has to show up for the second number, the bottom number, the denominator. That's what we're talking about here. So if you notice, these are all unit rates because the second number is 1. And it's pretty simple when you're looking at the units to make a relationship determination there, and that's what makes it so handy. Hey, I can buy 6 apples for $1. Hey, that's 18 pounds in that 1 foot of material. Or hey, um, I can go 2.75 miles in 1 minute in my car. It's that sort of information that becomes a lot more usable. And how's it useful? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about. If I had said, hey, you can buy 240 apples. 240 apples. How many people have bought 240 apples? A lot of you? I don't know. If I said you could buy 240 apples for $40, what does that mean to you? Probably not much. But if I said, hey, you can buy 6 apples for $1, you can make that decision a lot easier if you even want to touch it. Um, it's how we actually go about deconstructing these weird situations called math problems. It's also how we go through life. Um, we go through and we break information down into more usable chunks. And so finding the unit rate is very, very usable. And don't be scared of that term. It's just a regular rate. It's just the second one is always going to be a 1. Also, let's make a little note here, and I'm going to add this in here. I could have just written it as 6 apples slash dollar. That means it's 6 apples for $1. See, it's implied that it'd be a 1 there. Or I could say 18 pounds. The pounds goes with the top number 18 slash feet. 18 pounds per foot. Or I could say 2.75, and I could put the slash, but this time I'm going to say per minute. I could have put a slash there, and well, actually I forgot miles, so let me go through and fix that. Don't want that in the notes here. 2.75 miles because that goes with the first number, and I could put a slash and say per 1 minute, and don't put the 1 in, and it's just understood that it is. Or if you noticed how I was reading it, I was saying 2.75 miles per minute. It's another way that the unit rate can be given to you in a problem, and you just need to be aware of it so you can handle it. So be on the lookout of how you can do this. It's pretty easy about how to take a regular rate and make it into a unit rate. And so that's the first thing. How do we get it? Well, first off, you get the regular rate if it's not given to you already, and then you simplify it. So here's the unit rate, 16 miles for 2 minutes. Basically, you take the denominator here, its number, and you divide the bottom by itself because what's 2 divided by 2? 1. And you keep the unit right there with it. Hey, that's going to be 1 minute, no problem. And now, since I divided the bottom by 2, it is a fraction, so I've got to divide the top by 2. What's 16 divided by 2? 8, and we keep the unit right there. So I could say that 8 miles per unit, excuse me, per minute, is the unit rate. Hopefully, you thought finding the rate was pretty simple, and this is just like one more little step of getting the unit rate. You know, that second number has to be a 1. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. Oh, but wait, this is kind of weird. I'm going to get a weird number. I'm going to get a decimal. Who cares? Yeah, you get 1 minute on the bottom. That's what we want. But since we divided it by 50 to make this a 1, and it's a unit rate, so it has to be 1 to be the unit rate, I have to do it to the top. And we just deal with whatever happens. Sometimes they're a little crazy. What's 25 divided by 50? 0.5. What's the unit? Miles. So basically it means this. That relationship is I can go a half a mile for every minute. Well, that's a lot more useful than just 25 miles in 50 minutes time. If I went 2 minutes, I could use this unit rate of going, hey, in 2 minutes I could go 1 mile. In 3 minutes I could go a mile and a half. And you break this idea down of, okay, now I can start putting that problem back together in my head and I can get more information. I can get more understanding out of the relationship using that unit rate. And that's what we've been talking about. You've got to keep your head open to just not processing data and information in the exact manner it's told to you, but basically trying to break it down so you can get as much extra information out there possible for you to make your job easier solving whatever these future problems are going to give you. Now, that'd be so fantastic if they give us the rate every time, but sometimes they're not going to do that. Sometimes you need to get to a unit rate and the regular rate's not given to you to simplify. So get the rate first and then simplify it. And one of the most popular ways of doing that, rather than just giving you a story problem, which that's pretty easy to get the rate from and then you can simplify it, is to give you the table problem. And so if you recall, I've already told you how to get the rate and I've taught you how to get the unit rate. So let's follow my advice. Let's get the rate first. Never go with 0, 0 for your first rate, okay? And remember, whenever I said we have a table, we want to check everything. So how much did this go up by? Yeah, that was 1050, so I'm going to use a positive. There's no real rule saying that a ratio can't have negatives. Let's see, here's a 0 to 3, so that's a positive 3. Went up by 3, we added 3. And this one went from 1050 to 3150, that went up by 21. And from 3 to 9, we had to go up by 6. Now, that gives us enough material to build two different ratios. This one goes on top first, the right side. Okay. You'll learn more once you get to algebra and pre-algebra. This one pairs up with that 1050 change, so that goes on the bottom. Let's make sure we label it. The money was on top. See, this is money over here. And this is the number of cupcakes. And I'll just say number of cups there. And so let's just call this one cupcakes here. Same thing with this one. 21 would go on top. And 6 would go on bottom. 6 cups. Now, how can we take these and see if the unit rate's the same? I mean, we will get the same unit rate from them, but it's just a nice little exercise. Basically, I'm going to have to divide the bottom by 3 here, and then divide the top by 3. So 1 cupcake is going to get this person how much money? Well, 10.50 divided by 3, or $10.50 divided by 3, is literally $3.50. So we're saying that every cupcake costs $3.50. That's a nice, nifty little unit rate. Let's go see if this one gets the same thing. In order to make this one 1 on the bottom, which makes it a unit rate, and remember, a unit rate, you have to have a 1 for the second number there. So in this case, it's cupcakes, right? It has to be a 1. I'm going to have to divide it by 6, which means I'm going to have to divide this one by 6, the top number by 6, right? And 21 divided by 6 is $3.50. So how much did they get for 1 cupcake? Did they ever ask you for the unit rate? No. But basically, if you just made that the second number of a unit rate, the top number would tell you what it is. Money for a cupcake, $3.50 for 1 cupcake. So that's the value of it. They never said get the unit rate. They never said find the rate. All they said is how much is, 1 cupcake. And then that lets you be able to do a little bit more planning, because other times they'll give you a chart and they'll go, well, pretend that this was an X right here, and they said, how much would I put right here? And if they said that it was for $7, but you knew that the unit rate was 350 for one cupcake, you'd go, oh, well, that has to be two, because you've got that information right there to work with. It comes back to help you in so many different ways that you don't know yet. But the main thing of this lesson is this: a unit rate is nothing more than a rate, a simple ratio with two different units on there. But the second number, the bottom number, always has to be 1. That's the number one rule for it to be a unit rate. How do we get that to happen? Well, if you're dealing with a regular rate, just take that bottom number and divide it by itself, and then use that same bottom number to divide the top number by, and you've got your unit rate. Okay? Remember, it can be written in different ways. That 1 doesn't always have to be shown. If it's like 8 miles per minute, gee, wish I'd seen that when I was writing earlier. That's your unit rate, because it's understood that there's an implied 1 minute there. Same thing with this right here. So take your time with these tables that I'm about to give you for the practice. Ask your neighbors, ask me, and let's just master this.